Today, I have the pleasure of vibrant and joyful conversation with Jill Richardson. As a true artist, video production specialist, and love led soul, Jill shows us what's possible when we live with a gratitude filled heart and are constantly learning and curious. Jill inspires us to just go for it and be our own cheerleaders as we keep trying new things. Let's get into it. Welcome to Star Potential, a podcast where we explore the meaning of our existence while having a few laughs and sometimes tears through stories from the road of life. I'm your host, Julie Jo Hughes. As a stage performer, my life is quite literally about song and dance. I believe that life here on Earth is a playground for discovery, not a contest to be won. We ask questions together like, how do I evolve my consciousness? And how do you sing a passionate ballad when there's an old guy in the front row with his balls showing? True story. Stick around for these fun conversations. Jill Richardson is an award-winning video producer, artist, and digital storyteller who's passionate about capturing life's essence and turning it into powerful visual narratives. Based in Orange County, California, and the founder of Living Large Productions, Jill has a versatile portfolio producing a wide range of projects, from corporate training and marketing videos to major productions for industry giants like Disney, Toyota, Kroger Foods, and Hyundai. Her decades-long career also includes extensive experience as a casting director, testimonial procurement, and an Orange County location scout. Recently, Jill has expanded her focus to include brand development and social media strategy, helping businesses build strong brands and impactful online presence. Jill is dedicated to fostering community engagement, growing relationships, and connecting with others to reach their highest potential. She has developed Orange County walking tours, is a brand strategy manager for Red Diamond Sisters, and the current vice president of AAF Orange County. Hello, Jill!
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the Star Potential podcast. I am so honored to have you here, and thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I think this will be fun.
Oh, yes, I'm so excited. Well, fun is a great word for you. I have to say that wherever you go, you just exude the most joy and love. And I think everyone is naturally drawn to you. We originally met through music, but you just are one of those people that really walks your walk and talks your
Aw,
talk. You are
thank
just
you.
heart open, and it's definitely felt. And I wanted to just dive right in and ask you off the bat, because you carry this message throughout your social media, even your personal media. You're always sharing these heart rocks, and I imagine that is a part of your practice of gratitude. And so let's just dive in and let me ask, do you have some sort of a daily gratitude practice that allows you to carry this high vibe with you all the time?
That's a good question. I think I've kind of innately always been a happy-go-lucky soul. I'm the third daughter, so I
Mhm.
feel like I've kind of adapted or just managed. But I normally always practice like literally the first thing in my mind when I wake up is to be thankful. I have just kind of to give thanks for this day, to thank for all my blessings. And I just kind of innately have always just tried to be grateful for just even the little things. So I feel like that just having that attitude and kind of that mindset, it is an active mindset to be grateful. I think I've had to work on that, but I also think that kind of innately, I've always been kind of a happy heart, so it's a
Mhm.
double blessing.
I love that. It's like you are a happy heart, and then you have these symbols of happy heart as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that you were talking about the heart rocks because all of a sudden I just started finding heart rocks, and I feel that that is a little blessing. Sometimes if I'm thinking about someone or some kind of thought or memory, that I get these signs mainly at the beach. But I feel like a lot of times, like I was at the Grand Canyon last year at this time or for the holidays, And I was thinking, God, this would be so cool to get this kind of volcanic heart rock. And then I was thinking about it, and for like 5 minutes, like, oh, this would be so fun. And then all of a sudden, a perfect one appeared. It was
Oh,
like this size. So I sometimes feel like just what your mind concedes or believes in, it will deliver. And so I do feel like hearts seem to find me for some reason.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're keeping them in your thoughts at all times. So it's not a surprise then that those seem to
Hmm.
manifest in your world.
Yeah.
I
No,
love
that is true. Mhm.
And I love how you mentioned that it's a conscious thing, right? It's not like you just wake up and you're just automatically happy and grateful. You are, but it's in a conscious way because I'm sure like everyone else, you have days that are harder and you have things that you're not always looking forward to doing first thing in the morning, but it's definitely something that you've made a conscious effort towards. Was there ever a time where you felt like you weren't doing that and it was working against you?
Yes, I feel that through maturity and just kind of self-work, that you do train your brain and your attitude and your beliefs and your actions with what your mind conceives. And I have done like what was that book? The Secret. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you ever read The
Oh,
Secret, but
yes.
I thought that that was just like, I'm like, oh, what is The Secret? And that kind of has that same thought throughout. And I thought it was so eloquently explained. So it is a mindset. And it is, I think, when things have been sad in my life or struggles, I feel that I've always kind of reached for that belief of trying to change things, this could only be a bad day or only a bad afternoon.
Mm,
Tomorrow's a new day. I
yeah.
feel like sometimes that when things get really bad, I'm not a strong writer, but I feel that sometimes writing things out kind of clears that negativity too. So I just kind of through the years have worked at different techniques to try to help when I am in a bad mood or things aren't going my way, just, because it is self-help, I mean, you have to advocate for yourself first and foremost when things and just know what is going to help you for that. So I feel like writing, getting outside, talking to friends or a support group, all those things really, when it's low, those help. And I feel that those low periods get less and less when you have
Mm,
that mindset, so it is a full
yes,
circle.
that's true. I
Yeah.
love that. And you mentioned The Secret there. It's so beautiful. That was kind of the gateway book for my husband. He talks about that all the time,
Mm.
that this book kept kind of coming to him and it wasn't the right time. You know how that goes. And then at one point it was the right time and he read it and was like, why didn't you tell me how good this was? And his
Yeah.
friends were like, we did. And that book for me was The Celestine Prophecy. Have you read that one?
I have read that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing.
Yes.
My office, if you notice, I have just all these sayings, and really from The Secret, I do have whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve. And
Yeah.
that, so I have all these different kind of pick-me-ups too that I've always surrounded myself with. Like even when I had, like a 9 to 5 job, I would find fortunes that I thought, oh, that has a special meaning, and
Yes.
I just stick them everywhere, around my
Yes.
desk. And I really feel that those kind of little insights or truths or wisdom really do help. And so, yes, to The Secret, they had so much gems in there that I I
Yes.
snip from, and now they're all over here in my office on
Yes.
the walls there. So,
I think
yeah,
that's definitely a good place for people to start if they're wanting to develop kind of more conscious living and just taking personal ownership. The Secret is a good place to start. And they have
absolutely. Yeah.
apps too. Like they have like you said, all those quotable things from The Secret. They have the app that's each day you get a little excerpt from The Secret, even if you haven't read the book. So
Yeah, yeah, you're
one.
so true because I get those too, but There is nothing like, I feel like because we both grew up in an age before the cell phone, there is something to say about just having pieces of paper to look at.
Totally. I
And
know.
honestly, now that you just are like bringing up all these memories, I really like in the bathroom sometimes when things would be really down, I'd put up these sayings or quotes that would really inspire me or help me. So I
Mm,
feel like if I needed help, I just knew enough about myself to try to get it, fill myself up with more love for myself. So that's
mm.
so important. Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're really touching on a cornerstone here of what I think Star Potential is going to be about. And it's really about self-knowledge. And it sounds, if that's like a new phrase to someone, I think that sounds like, of course, I know myself. I'm with myself all the time. But until you really start looking inside, it's amazing how you can be with yourself every day for your whole life and actually not know yourself well at all.
Yeah. Knowing yourself takes some work for too, it's not easy, but yeah, I feel
Yes.
like to that point, the star potential, the more you kind of, invest in yourself and take care and what you feel to make sense of that, that does help the whole process. Absolutely, so
Yes.
yeah.
Well, let's go back to you touched on, you said when you worked a 9 to 5. So I'm
Yeah.
so curious as to how Living Large Productions was born. When you were working a 9 to 5, was that back in like casting director days? I mean,
Mm,
casting directors
mhm,
don't work nine to
mhm.
five, but
Yes.
tell us more about the transition from I'm kind of working regular Joe hours to I'm an entrepreneur and I create all these things.
Yeah. Well, I was working at an ad agency. I was the agency producer in Newport Beach. And there was definitely a creative hub and a support there. And obviously, we were doing a lot of broadcast commercials. But the associates that I kept on having to collaborate with were all freelancers, like freelance art directors or musicians or voiceover talent or makeup artists, so all of the people outside of that agency were in a freelance basis. And that really opened my eyes up to the fact that there was work and viable work that people were able to do that. So I was very scared. I think it probably took me I actually really wanted to jump, but then 9/11 happened. I mean, from a timing standpoint, I had worked at a 9 to 5 job probably for at least closer to 10 years by that time, or 8 years, but I kept on seeing the freelance life. But then when 9/11 happened, I felt like that wasn't a safe time to jump. And it was just, the security of having a job. But I kept on seeing these extensions of people working independently, like I could do this. And there's no good time to jump freelance had I known then, but I knew enough that I needed to save money. Normally if you're going to be independent, you need to save, anywhere between 3 to 6 months worth of savings, or kind of have your whatever you spend that, for your month, your net or your egg. So that was a big consideration because I wasn't, supporting myself and independent. So when I finally felt like that I had a net savings and I just really had the confidence, I didn't have I had met this guy on an airplane that had done voice like training shows for a traveling company, a trucking company. And he kind of offered me this job when we were traveling. And I was just like, okay. So that was my first
Wow.
job, freelancing, and that gave me enough. I had the savings. I kind of had, it wasn't a great job, but it was the job that helped me jump,
Mhm.
and honestly, I felt like once I jumped, there was never any going back. I feel like when you work independently, there's kind of I feel like I'm much more productive because I don't have the interruptions that I would normally have, but the also there's just not that security of having work.
Right.
So it really does, it's a totally different mentality to being self-employed and just not knowing you're in a way you're your own business, because I saw the business end of it. Businesses have to get business, you know? I
Yes.
mean, but in a way, when you're self-independent, it just is more of an independence. But I do feel like since I've been freelance now for several decades, that almost like there's a sense of anything is possible, you know, that you can really, if you're interested and engaged and want to see that succeed, the fact of when, because of the time, you know, you might have more time to focus on certain things, that component has really always kept me through the highs and lows. I mean, sometimes I've been super broke, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
there's always been that sense of being able to create things and having opportunities. Like if I needed to work, I would cater, you know what I mean? Or if there was, you know, I would put the word out and hustle in other ways, but still kind of do work on my goals or my projects that I was really passionate about.
Yes.
Last year, I was able to work on a feature film, and now I got IMDb credit, and I
Oh,
had, and
yay.
that was, yeah, and that was very much on, you know, all of it was really hard work. Everyone in the crew was working. I got line producing credit for that, or associate producer credit rather. And so,
Wow.
but that was a big deal. But
Yeah.
that, you know, again, was kind of something that I don't know had, if it would have happened if I had been employed full time, you
Right.
know? Yeah. So
Right.
I feel like the opportunities still come, you know, with hard work and whatnot. So that's kind of the thing about freelance, that I feel that when people do work self-employed, that dream always kind of keeps us independent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. And you can see the spirit of an entrepreneur even when they're working a service job or whatever. Like you said, we all have to do things in between the projects sometimes to kind of make ends meet because yeah, it is kind of sometimes it can be project to project payment rather than a paycheck or a salary. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Risk is bigger, but the rewards are limitless, to be honest. And that's the thrilling part and where you're able to kind of tap into your infinite potential. So
Yeah.
if you could give advice,
Thank you for realizing that. It's so true.
oh yeah.
It really is, you know. And to your point, how long have you been independent for, you know, for
Yeah,
your whole career?
yes, I say I've been a freelancer my whole career, which is true. As a performer, you're all, even if you're working with certain groups, it's like you said, it's always, you're still the CEO of your work, and you're the one who's managing all the different projects that you have your foot in and things. But as I was explaining to someone the other day, I said, I've always been a freelancer. I know what
Yeah.
that is. But for the first time, I'm treading more into entrepreneurial waters now with the
Mm,
podcast and creating my first programs that could help people from things that are in my heart that I'm passionate about that I could help people with.
mm,
It's not just a part of representing a brand or representing a band or
mm.
all the various things that I've done. I've kind of had that safety net of somebody else was kind of making sure the project runs. And if it doesn't, okay, that's fine. I've got other projects, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
this,
so
uh,
true. Mhm.
yes. And
Mhm.
so I'm like coming into my, it's interesting. Like you said, I think, any kind of freelance or entrepreneurial journey is definitely a self-development journey as
Mhm.
well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you know, when I had jumped literally over 20 years ago freelancing and how it is now, you know, I mean, it is every year. I feel like when I make it freelance, I'm like, yay, I
Yes,
did it
it's true.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I get so caught up in, oh, I wanted to make this much this year or whatever. But if I go back to like 12-year-old Julie Joe dreams, it
Mhm,
was to be able to do what I love and make a living at it. And so
mhm.
sometimes I have to remind myself, like, were you able to keep afloat this year doing what you love? Yeah, then we're all right, you know? Some
That's so
years are
true.
some years are more flushed than others, but ultimately, like,
Yeah.
we're still putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, I have worked enough jobs to know that I am happier, that money, there is a price, or money is good, but there is, it can't buy happiness or your health or your mental health for, satisfaction. So there's so many things that money is important, but I feel like the independence that I have received overweighs the monetary value of it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I get
Yeah.
that 100%.
Yeah.
Coming right out of college, I was auditioning. I was living in Des Moines, Iowa at the time, and I was wanting to start performing in Branson, Missouri, which is about a 6, 7 hour drive. And so I was driving down every weekend and doing auditions down there while working a temp job for 4 months in Des Moines. I had
Wow.
worked at a theme park that summer, and I knew there was a little time period here where I kind of needed some income, and I was finishing up the one performing job, which was like a summer contract. And then I was trying to get into shows that started kind of in the fall and winter. So there was this
Mhm.
little gap. And that's when I was working this temp job it was like an insurance broker. I was in a cubicle and I was doing like data entry and transcription and things. And I actually kind of enjoy that type of work. And
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this will be okay. And after 4 months, I really felt like my soul was leaving my body. I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. And at the end, they said, hey, the lady who you've been covering for her while she's on maternity leave, she decided she's not coming back. We'd like to offer you the full-time job. And I know my face was just like horrified. I was like, no, there's no way. I am fulfilling my commitment, and then I am gonna go figure out how to make it work as someone in the performing arts because I just
Yeah.
can't.
Wow. And just to think, like, how big was that performance? And I mean, that you were going towards, and now what you're doing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
The difference. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's been fun. Well, tell us a little bit more about the name Living Large Productions. And I
Oh,
know this is kind of a
yes.
life mantra for you, living large. So tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know. I thought that living large was a cool vibe before I even named it. I just thought living captured a essence of fun, and so then I thought, well, for productions, living large productions kind of could encompass anything and everything. And I feel like in some ways it does encompass anything and everything, but it might have not have helped me. I have had people, this is years ago, but people wanted to buy it, and I'm like, no, I like my name. But I don't necessarily think it has to do with video productions.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I kind of liked it. I liked that it could include a variety of things.
Hmm.
Mainly it's been on video production, but that was kind of before my website. I had some of my art on it. I kind of have big dreams about doing tips for living large
Uh-huh.
and kind of having like little segments of, wisdom or ideas that you can do. So again, with that kind of umbrella name, it could fit in those categories.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that you can apply it to all these kind of different things because you do have your hands and feet in lots of passions. And
Yeah.
I love that
I
about you.
try.
Is this your art that we're seeing behind you?
Yes, this is some of my art. I normally, when I paint up in my office, and I go through these spurts where I paint a lot, and then I have to put everything away. You know what I mean? Like I put down the easel, put all the paints, brushes, and close up. So I have not painted this whole year.
Huh.
And I was concerned about that. I was like, I got to get my paint out and start cranking out some work just because I love it. Again, I feel like sometimes there's weekends where I'm on my feet painting for like 8 hours, and it's
Wow.
just so enjoyable, and I'm listening to the music and just, really, I just get into it. So, yeah, this is some of, again, I'm kind of in my painting mode for the next who knows how long, but I'll probably, once I finish, I'll close it up and but then put everything away. So,
That's great.
yeah. Yeah,
I love it.
thank
So you
you.
kind of go in spurts with it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like because I use that table a lot, you know what I mean, for other things. And so when my paints are all around, I actually, one of the things, like, again, about living large, I have never painted before, but I started taking community classes in Laguna Beach. I lived in Laguna Beach forever, and I took these classes with John Eagle. And John Eagle is, I feel like he is just amazing. He's a colorist. He was so patient and helpful and guiding. And so he would offer these classes, community classes. So it was like 10 classes for maybe $20 per class for like a
Oh,
three
wow.
hour session.
Wow.
So I really developed a love for painting, taking community classes for probably about 10 years with John Eagle.
Wow.
And so he just recently passed away this year actually, but I really felt like his gift for art and his gift to make it affordable and through the community was really just, it was so great. And really, I met so many other artists that take classes with him or had taken classes like me for years. When I got busy with work, there were sometimes like some periods where I couldn't. But if anyone is ever interested in taking community classes, I know that they offer that, through the rec. It truly are just little blessings, because these people give their time
Mm.
more than just for the money. Yeah, so I try to paint because I enjoy it, and I feel like that the more you do that, obviously you're like anything, the better you become. So I feel like my art has improved, which gives me pride. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I gave a little painting. Went up to some friend's house who I've never seen their house. They lived in Tehachapi this last weekend. And I just gave them a little something.
Uh-huh.
And, sometimes I like this art, but they liked it too because their face was like, oh, so that's fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's so
Yeah.
rewarding to give something that you created.
Yeah. And they like it.
Yes, yes, that's even better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you yourself are a person that gives and gives to the community and giving for the sake of giving and not necessarily expecting something in return. And I feel like because of that, that's why you do receive so much love. You give so much love, and then it's the natural flow of life that so much comes back to you, even in the form of finding your heart rocks. But one of the really interesting things that you told me is that you created OC walking tours. So
Oh
if
yeah.
if
Yeah.
someone is visiting our beautiful, beautiful corner of the planet,
Yeah. We're gonna
how
have to do that,
I
Julie
can't
Joe. I
wait.
want to
I'm gonna
take you and
type
the
it.
family.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I travel, I have always loved walking tours. I feel like that is like another hidden gem
Mhm.
for people if wanting to get outside and see community and their history. A lot of times you just Google, walking tours of a certain area and they have it.
Yes.
So, really, we've just for years have done those kind of tours, either self-guided or if they have it like New Orleans, Barcelona. I mean, we've
Oh.
just done so and seen so much.
Mhm.
And I feel like when you have walking tours, you're really able to take it in, you're able to look at details and observe maybe then more so than any other
Mhm.
car, train or bike or whatever.
I agree.
So I just realized that Dana Point doesn't have anything. There's so much history here. So I've taken, well, actually, the Historical Society, I take that back. They have numerous tours during the Whale Festival.
Uh-huh.
I've done tours in like self-guided in Laguna Beach and Capo and San Clemente, and just kind of have
Wow.
researched and developed. So I have my main focus is a walking tour of Dana Point, and it's about a 2 hour tour. It's about a mile and a half of flat. And there's, we talk about the original homes here, how the Lantern District was made. I find that every time I do these tours, people who have lived here for years are blown away with new history that they find, from that
Fascinating.
tour.
And you
Yeah.
and you weren't even born in Dana Point, right?
I wasn't. I was born in about an hour away from here in Upland. But again, like my family, my uncle was very involved with sister cities
Oh,
and
cool.
Upland, and had my parents have a very old historical home. So
Hmm.
they opened, this was like one time when my mom was going to get some new carpet. She opened it up to the historical society for them to tour around before the new carpet because she's very
Yes.
clean lady. And so, yeah, I feel like I've always kind of loved that history involved in seeing things. So when I dived into it, I need to promote Orange County walking tours more, and I could do it through Living Large Productions. There's so many possibilities,
Yes.
but I honestly haven't promoted it as much because I've just from timing. But I feel like that it is truly a fun experience to give people a little glimpse of the history. And we talk about the culture, the history, and surf, and then obviously nature, in
Oh,
these tours.
I
Yeah.
I can't wait to come on one with you.
Yeah.
It's the kids are gonna
I
love
want to
it.
see Greta in action is what I
Oh, she is a hoot. She asked me last night, "Do you think I could have my own podcast or show?" I said, "Definitely show. You need full video. We'll get Jill's help and we'll set up some video production for you."
Yeah. That would be so fun.
Yes, I'm really excited to dive into a lot of your services. Now that I'll be promoting the podcast more and things, I definitely could lean on your help with amplifying my message with Star
Yes.
Potential, as you say that you are able to help people do. And you mentioned that coming off of that phrase, living large, to me, the first thing I think of fun is like you said, and I also think of expansiveness. I just think it's keeping yourself open to the possibilities that life has to offer you. And
Hmm.
in that, I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned that you've been finding more joy in niching down and working kind of with startup and smaller companies, even though you've worked with huge companies and you can do that as well. But tell us a little bit about the joy you found in kind of really helping people connect to their message.
Yeah. Well, again, it is a process we go through, when you see advertising or marketing that really resonates, I think it really always tends to tug at an emotion, or people are attracted to it because it's authentic or real or simple.
Yes.
And I feel that that really has it is an art, to kind of evolve to a perfect message or the perfect tagline for your brand. So I feel like because of the internet that really there is so much more opportunity for small businesses, to thrive, but there's also that need to create awareness, to create a brand. And so I feel like with my experience, again, opportunities have presented themselves where maybe a company needs, as they're telling me, it's very clear to me what their focus could be instead of a bigger brand. And so I feel that a lot of times I've just been able to collaborate with businesses that need marketing help just based on my experience. And I also feel like the other catch in production is that there's so much availability now just with your phone, or like a camera that's 4K, but doesn't have to cost a huge amount of money, or a speaker like this, there's things that just can up the quality of productions with a little bit of cost or just a little bit more awareness. And
Mhm.
I think that that helps in marketing businesses. I feel that how you were talking about earlier, you just need to get out there and just start, you know what I mean? So I find that with a lot of companies that I can kind of push them to a level to, well, let's just make a video, let's just start shooting video of you laughing. And
Mhm.
we'll make some titles and look great, with your message. I feel that when you kind of start just initially just starting, and then the specifics will kind of reveal themselves in some ways. If you're open, that niching down, the more you do, the more you'll see, hopefully will be clearer. Clarity will come to that.
Yes.
And I think for marketing and messaging, for some brands, obviously it's resonated and stayed, but a lot of times it changes, you know what I mean? There
Yes.
is a different focus, or one might work better, or colors might look better. So you just need to be open to having that happen.
Totally. I
Yeah.
feel like that's one thing I'm learning too is that you just have to start and put it out there and you kind of discover what it is as you're going, but if you're too frozen to take any action, you actually can't learn anything. So you kind of have to fail forward a little bit until you go, "Oh, okay, it's not that, but I think it's this." And
Right.
it's okay to evolve and change too. If you get a year down the road and you're like, you know what? We don't want to call it Living Large Productions. We're going to branch off and have it be this thing. Like that's totally fine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to be comfortable with it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I feel like when we were talking about Livy Large Productions, is it a video production? Like, does it say video production? Well, no, but I could change that, you know what I mean? I mean, and so that's what makes it kind of exciting, is that it's, for me, I don't feel tied down to things,
Yes.
and I feel like for helping companies really tell their brand, I feel that now more than ever, I feel that video, it does help people, and I feel like that people do watch it, and
Yes.
it's able to connect. So I'm able to kind of, with my experience, I feel like that is my next kind of. I feel like the bigger productions now, the money's not really there. I mean, I worked on over $100,000 productions, and
Mhm.
I just it's there for bigger brands, but I feel like that the smaller markets really are where, in my opinion, kind of where my experience and my skill set, I feel like could help people. So,
Yes.
yeah,
And I feel like most of the market is there right now
yeah,
too.
yeah.
It as we talked about, it's the age of the entrepreneur. It's the age of everyone can grab their phone and make some kind of content. And so let's just embrace that and you're able to help people along that journey.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
I need to upgrade my phone though to a 15, and right now I'm on a 13, so I need to
oh,
upgrade, because
you're
that
due.
it's like time and time again, it's like a better quality for video. I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh, I have to get that. So
I know
yeah,
it's incredible what just our phones have now. It's like unbelievable.
I know it truly is. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right at our
Mhm.
fingertips.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely want to be mindful of your time today. And so, as we come to a close in our conversation, before we go to some fun rapid fire questions,
Yes.
is there any just kind of final message that you would like to leave our listeners with, you feel like would be helpful to them in just where they are today and moving forward, either personally or with their business?
Yeah. That's such a good question.
Mhm.
I think more than anything, just to keep going. you know, you have to just, you are your biggest cheerleader and your biggest motivator and your biggest problem solver. And so, really, the first step in life, I feel like, is to just try and learn and be open. And keep going even if things are great, and keep going if maybe it's not a good day. I find that if it's not a good day, then maybe to curl up with a good book, or just turn on some music and turn off everything, or go outside. But more than anything, I think that it has to come within. It has to come within first, and then other things will find their way.
Mm, that's really beautiful. I
Yeah.
can definitely relate to that. It's all the external searching that we do really just leaves us feeling empty and it's unfruitful. And the minute you start within, it's amazing how things kind of just start showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could take time. I feel like when we all have struggles, I feel like my life is great now, but there were periods in my life where it was very hard, but I still had that faith of showing up and doing what I say I'm going to do, and telling the truth and being honest and smiling, and just all of those little things I think truly add up to just a more fulfilled life for sure.
Mm, that's such a beautiful note for us to capstone there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me too.
Thank
I have to
you.
admit, this is my first time, so it's really been enjoyable.
Oh, I'm so glad. And
Yeah,
I'm so honored that you said yes to this. It's a fun learning process for us
it
both.
is. Yeah.
Well, Jill, I would love for our listeners to get to know you with a little bit of fun questions. So let's just go into some rapid fire now and get to know you a little bit.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, here we go.
Okay. As a kid, what did you always want to be when you grew up?
Ooh. I wanted to be a news reporter.
Oh,
I thought that I was always interested and curious, and I always liked kind of being on front of camera too. So I could remember, yeah, just wanting to be a news reporter.
I love it. And that's not like a it's actually like a plausible jump to what you do today.
Yeah, yeah. It really was. I felt like I wasn't strong. I am dyslexic, and so really, I was never really strong in writing, but talking and being in front of camera was something I felt really comfortable to do. So
Yeah.
I, instead of being a news reporter, I still kind of gravitated towards a production,
Yeah.
but wasn't in front of the camera. It's hard being a news reporter. It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
I can
Those
imagine.
are some hardworking, smart people thinking on their feet real quickly. Yes. So,
Yes. It that was a career path that was like in my realm of like consideration when I was in high school for sure.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then I
because
like
the
to
news,
play.
there's so much. Like every day there's a new news feed. So I was always fascinated with that. I always loved that.
That's true. The draw of thinking on your feet is an
Yeah.
interesting parallel to kind of the worlds that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, which season of the year makes you feel most alive?
Hmm. Well, it has to be summer.
I knew
I
you were
love
gonna do that.
I love summer because really of the sunshine. I love, long days. I love barefoot and shorts and long nights. That's my favorite.
Mm, yes. If you had a theme song for every time you made an entrance, what would it be?
That is a good one. There are so many, but I think I love that song, Oh, What a Feeling. I mean, it's really not even my all-time favorite song, but I feel like, that song by Irene, Oh, what a feeling,
And
feeling
please
differently.
believe in. Yeah. Oh, that is a good one.
Dancing, what is it? I think Oh, What a Feeling is the name of the song.
Yeah.
Um, I just love how it immediately inspires you to dance, and
It,
to me
yes.
that would be my theme song. I'm a huge No Doubt song, but I don't know. To me, when you ask that, that's just my first response, my fast
Yes.
response.
And I do think there's a difference between the music you love the most and just the music that would be kind of the essence of you, you know?
Yes, a theme song, exactly. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, finish this sentence. When I'm 80, I'll be.
When I'm 80, I will be busy.
Mm,
I'll be healthy. I'll have a purpose. I will feel connected and love, and I will feel like I'm doing good and people are doing good to me.
mm. That's a beautiful future cast.
Aw, thanks. That's what
Yes.
I hope. Mhm.
Favorite dessert?
Oh gosh. Favorite dessert. Well, there is a coconut praline cake
Mm.
that is so good. It's like a coconut praline cake that's served with hot ice cream. There was a restaurant that was called Cedar Creek, which had that. And I do have the recipe, but if you want it, you'll have to give me
Yes.
a hug or something.
Absolutely. I'll come do an OC walking tour
Oh
with
my
you.
gosh, it's so good. I mean, it's kind of like a buttercream frosting with a coconut and it's served warm. It's delicious.
It sounds
Mm.
really good.
What is your favorite?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. That's why I ask other people when there's I mean, you can't go wrong with raw chocolate chip cookie dough. That's like one of my favorite things.
That is pretty good. Gosh, and of course they made the ice cream,
I
for that
know.
because it's so good, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
And last question for you. What's a book that you would recommend that everyone reads? For
Oof.
everyone to read, I should say.
Yeah. The book that I've read numerous times that I always feel like their insights is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm-hmm.
I felt
I
like
read it.
those insights, and it's a older book,
Yes.
but really the insights and the recommendations and just kind of the wording for it, I felt like it was such great tips of advice, and the fact that it's carried its, for generations, people have read it. So that would be my book, I think, if I
Hmm,
was to suggest anything. Yeah.
good one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all of your fun insights and for sharing your joy and your just whole energy with us today. As I said, definitely your personal brand as well as your business and everything. I feel like it's very evident that you love life and you just share love with everyone you meet, and that energy, it can be felt through the screen. It can be felt when I'm singing on stage and I see you out in the audience. It
Yeah.
can be felt
Thank
in
you.
the comments that you leave on social media. Just thank you for sharing your love with all of us.
Oh, Julie Joe, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. Truly. Thank you.
I always love seeing Jill, and that was such a treat. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let's go over a few of the key takeaways from our conversation together today. Start each day with gratitude and conscious intention. What your mind can conceive, you can receive. Make your dreaming intentional. Freedom can be scary, but also liberating. In freelance and entrepreneurship, the rewards can pay you in many ways that aren't necessarily monetary. It's a way of life with higher risks and higher rewards. If you have an itch to start something, just start. It will grow and evolve and take a more refined shape the more you just try it. Don't be afraid to supplement your creative work with other things that also bring you joy. Stay busy in passion, and your calling will find its way to you. As a small business or personal brand, video can amplify your message and really help you connect with your brand, your message, and your audience. To get in touch with Jill, please find her at www.livinglargeproductions.com. We'll definitely link this in the show notes, and let me know if you have personal things you would like to get to Jill. I would be happy to pass those along for you as well. Thank you for tuning in to Star Potential with Julie Jo Hughes. If this episode resonates with you, please share it with a friend or shout us out on Instagram with the tag @TheJulieJo. That's TheJuliejo. I made you a gift. Please visit us on Instagram to receive my Grounded in Gratitude singing meditation. Want a shot at our monthly giveaway? Please leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts with your email or Instagram handle so we can give you credit. Thank you for your love and support. Until next time, keep shining your light. And that's a wrap.